Have you ever spotted something in a theme park and thought, there's gotta be a story behind that? Well, you're in the right place. We're Amanda, Kevin, and Kim, the team behind Where in the Park, and we've spent years exploring the parks, creating seek and find games that uncover the details that most people miss. And now we're diving into the history, stories, and secrets behind those magical details. So grab your curiosity and maybe even a churro, and let's explore the parks together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Where in the Park podcast. This is Amanda from Where in the Park, and today we are going to be discussing Where in the Universal Studios Florida Park as we continue our walk down Hollywood Boulevard, discovering the buildings that make up the facades, what the buildings are based on, and their ties back to Hollywood, California. If you missed part 1, where Kevin discussed the Today Cafe, Ciro's, Macombo, and Marianne's, feel free to hit pause now and go back to that episode. It really lays down the foundation for this series and covers those first 3 buildings. But if you're ready to continue our journey, then let's dive in. As we go through today's episode, we'll be sharing stories and details around the park. So to see the pictures of the details we will be covering, including the buildings in Hollywood that these facades represent, head over to our Facebook group, Where in the Park Explorers. There you can join the conversation and even share your own pictures and stories. You can also check out our blog that accompanies this episode over on our website, whereinthepark.com/podcast. The links for everything are in the show notes below. If you want to explore Universal Studios Florida in a whole new way, be sure to check out our self-paced seek and find games over at whereinthepark.com. Each game has a deck of cards. Each card has an image that can be found in the theming of the park. The question is, where in the park? We have 38 details to discover at Universal Florida alone, and we even have bundles for Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, and the entire resort. So use code PODCAST10 to take 10% off your next adventure. All right, so let's continue our walk down Hollywood Boulevard. Next to Marianne's is a rather futuristic-looking silver and blue Art Deco style office building, which is home to the Bourne Stuntacular. This 26-minute show seamlessly blends live action stunts and props with huge LED screens, making it difficult to distinguish what is real from what is digital. We've seen the show several times, and it is pretty impressive. The premise is that you're following Jason Bourne in Dubai, Tangier, and the United States as he tries to outrun those who have made it their mission to take him down by whatever means necessary. It's like stepping into a live-action Bourne film. This show opened in June of 2020, so this building and show were not original to Universal Florida. Before Bourne, there was a Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time, which ran from April 1996 to October of 2017 in that same building. It had the same facade. This show also appeared at Universal Studios Japan and Universal Hollywood, but had very different looks to their buildings. Back in Florida, before Terminator, there were 2 smaller facades that made up this Beverly Hills set. One that had green awnings with Paul Gerard across the front in a style that looked similar to the Ralph Lauren building in Beverly Hills, but we have not found official confirmation that this was the true inspiration. The other facade might say Zabruskis or Zabrushis. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, as we were unable to find any historical details about it. How we even know about this facade is because we found a 1995 YouTube video from Disney Dave, who posted his footage in which the studio tour went right down this street, which we discussed in part 1 of this series. And in watching this video, we tried to determine what this building actually said, but it's really blurry. Like I said, we were unable to find any additional details about it. But it looks very similar to the building where Saks Fifth Avenue is located today at 9570 Wilshire Boulevard. But again, we cannot find anything confirming that this building existed before the facade was even built. So we're not even sure where that inspiration might have come from. In fact, the entire Bourne building today is quite a mystery. It is one of the only buildings in this entire land without a plaque indicating an architect, or any historical outline as to whether this building is based on anything in the actual Hollywood, California area or anywhere else for that matter. So if you have any details, definitely let us know because this building is quite the mystery. Continuing past the Bourne Stuntacular are multiple building facades that run along the show building that houses the show. To the left of the Bourne Stuntacular entrance is the Carrozzeria di Paolo Motoring Accessories facade, quite the mouthful. The bronze plaque to the left of the door reads Hollywood Playhouse, Carl Jules Wheel and H.L. Gogarty, Architects, 1921. This date is interesting as the original Hollywood Playhouse did not open until 1927. In any case, this Spanish colonial revival theater was designed by the architectural firm Gogarty and Wheel. These two architects, both together with the firm as well as individually, have a long history of designing buildings around Southern California, including Gogarty's design of the Grand Central Air Terminal at the Glendale Airport, as well as schools and other public buildings. Wheel's long list of accolades include the Hollywood Brown Derby, which we will be discussing in greater detail in a future episode, as it is along Hollywood Boulevard here, as well as an art director for many movies, including Casablanca. Over the decades, the Hollywood Playhouse has been home to more than half a dozen businesses as it has evolved with the times. In the early years, it served as a live performance venue, then as a nightclub, a radio studio, and eventually a television studio. During the 1960s, it gained national attention as the Jerry Lewis Theater for the Jerry Lewis Show, and soon after became the home of the Hollywood Palace Variety Show, both of which aired on ABC. Today, the building lives on as a vibrant Avalon Hollywood nightclub. As for the facade at Carrozzeria di Paolo Motoring Accessories, Carrozzeria is Italian for bodywork, and Paolo may be in reference to Paolo Martin, a famous Italian car designer, which makes sense because this facade features an Italian car and lots of other things around it that you would use to fix up a car. You may be able to find fun nods to past Universal attractions in the store window, such as cans of Terminator oil, a reference back to that Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time attraction that I referenced earlier. So there's a bunch of different nods throughout Universal as a whole, but in particular this window that you just might spot if you look closely to those details. Next up is the Max Factor Makeup Studio facade, which is based on the building of the same name in Hollywood. The text on the door reads, Hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And a plaque to the left of the door reads, Max Factor Building, S. Charles Lee, Architect, 1931. Built in 1931, the Max Factor building is a true landmark of Hollywood's golden age. Its architect, S. Charles Lee, was a renowned theater architect who would go on to design over 20 theaters and other prominent buildings around California. Max Factor himself originally commissioned the Max Factor building's Regency Deco style. Today, the building is home to the Hollywood Museum, with the ground floor dedicated to Max Factor's beauty salons. Here, guests can tour rooms in which Hollywood stars such as Marilyn Monroe and Lucille Ball would sit and have their makeup and hair done before going out on the town. Next up, past the Max Factor makeup studio, is the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. This facade is based on the Italian Renaissance-style hotel in Hollywood that was built in 1926 at the intersection of Wilshire Boulevard and Rodeo Drive. There are two large plaques on either side of the facade entrance that read in a regal font, The Beverly Wilshire. And to the left of the door is a smaller, less prominent, and darkened plaque that reads, Beverly Wilshire Hotel, Walker and Eisen, Architect, 1928. Albert R. Walker and Percy A. Eisen worked on many historical buildings around Los Angeles between 1919 and 1941, with the Beverly Wilshire being constructed between 1926 and 1928. The hotel has been home to a huge list of Hollywood royalty, including Elvis Presley, John Lennon, and Warren Beatty, just to name a few. It has also been in a number of movies, including Pretty Women and Beverly Hills Cop. Today, it is officially known as the Beverly Wilshire, a Four Seasons hotel. Quick fun fact, you can also find a facade of the Wilshire Hotel next to the Hyperion Theater at Disney California Adventure. But back over here at Universal Florida, this facade is part of the Bourne Stuntacular show building, and it serves as the hallway exit towards the Kress 5 and Dime gift shop, which we'll learn more about next. So the Kress 5 and Dime is one of the tallest buildings along this street with 4 stories and a detailed roof line, with long white columns leading to dark marble pillars on the first floor. On one of the marble columns is a brick-colored plaque that reads, S.H. Kress & Co. Building, Edward F. Sibbert, Architect, 1935. S.H. or Samuel Henry Kress opened the first 5 and 10 cent store in Memphis, Tennessee in 1896. The building that is portrayed at Universal Studios Florida is inspired by the historic S.H. Kress & Co. building at 6608 Hollywood Blvd in California. Built in 1935, the real Kress building is a 5-story Art Deco masterpiece, and it was once the flagship of the Kress 5, 10, 25 cent store chain, which at the height of its time had 264 stores across the U.S. until eventually closing all of its doors in 1981. The architect Edward F. Sibbert served as Kress's vice president for architecture and was the lead architect for the chain. At least 176 of the 264 stores were modeled from his designs. For almost 6 decades, this historic building was the flagship location of a lingerie retailer Fredericks of Hollywood, which would feature a lingerie museum with exhibits of lingerie worn by celebrities in movies. But after a multi-year restoration in the early 2000s, the original Kress name returned as the Kress Hollywood, which served as a nightclub and restaurant until about 2008 and has reportedly been vacant since 2011. It's a long time to be sitting there. But the location at Universal Florida is bustling with people every single day. As we alluded to before, this building is the 5 and Dime gift shop and is the exit to both the Bourne Stuntacular and the Horror Makeup Show, the latter of which we'll be talking about in part 3 of this series in a future episode. So the next time you see either show, or just as you're walking down Hollywood Blvd, be sure to take a look at the facade outside and appreciate those details. That's going to do it for part 2 of this series. In this episode, we continued our walk down the right side of Hollywood Blvd and discussed the facades between the Bourne Stuntacular and the Kress building. Join us for part 3 in an upcoming episode as we continue the conversation and explore the rest of the buildings down this side of the street. Just a reminder, if you want to see the details we're discussing in today's episode, head on over to our Facebook group, Where in the Park Explorers, where you can join that conversation and even share your own pictures and stories. We're going to be sharing side-by-sides of the buildings in Florida versus the buildings in California, so you can really see those side-by-side images. You can also head over to our page, whereinthepark.com/podcast, where you can find our full blog that has the photos that we talked about today as well. The link is in the show notes below. And until next time, we'll see you somewhere in the park. Bye for now. Thanks for exploring with us today. If you're ready to take your park experience to the next level, check out our Where in the Park games. They're self-paced seek and find adventures designed to help you explore the parks in a whole new way. Whether you're visiting for a birthday, a family gathering, a date night, or even a solo trip. You won't find our images on rides, in lines, or inside shops or restaurants. They're just out in the open as you wander around the park. Get ready to experience a deeper appreciation for your favorite theme parks. Head over to whereinthepark.com and use code PODCAST10 to take 10% off your next adventure. Until next time, we'll see you somewhere in the park.